Hello, welcome to Actual Play. We are playing Mnemonic, written by D, who's right above me. This is our second session of the game. Last time we made our amazing and very sad characters, and we helped the town of Westlake through a drought. I'm Sean Nittner. I use he/him pronouns. You can find me pretty much everywhere at Sean Nittner. I will be playing Warren. They are kind of a ogre, earth elemental, big, clumsy, kind of slow creature who is also a warren for a bunch of rabbits who are clearly the star of the show.
He's our
Uh,
resident Bundum.
yes, Warren is Bundum. So
Oh
I'm
man.
very excited to see more of Warren feeling insecure while their rabbit friendos get all the pets. And as a channel-wide reminder, just so everybody knows, all of the proceeds from the channel, from your subscriptions, from your cheers, from any way in which people send us money, all that money is being split between the Trans Legal Defense Fund and Black Lives Matter for basically ever. If you support the show, that's where that money will be going. If you want to give directly so that Twitch is taking their cut, that's cool too. I'll put some links in chat. If you want to support and do good things in the world, but you don't have financial means, then I'll put some links for other forms of activism that you can take, and anything that you can do would be great. So thanks everybody for joining us. How about you, Misha?
I'm Misha B, she, her. I'm BG Gamers on Twitter. This week, I'm getting the last of my plate cleared because my kids will be home schooling in like 2 weeks, and so I had to get like all the creative writing stuff out of the way before they got here because I find I cannot write creatively when there's a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old asking me questions constantly all day, even though their dad is like, they have to walk past their dad to ask me the question.
They know
I
where
feel
the
like
knowledge is at.
Be real.
there's some kind of unspoken law here, and I don't know what it is.
Fine. How about you, Jess?
Me. Hi, I'm Jess. I go by Bristafope on Twitter, they, them pronouns. And today I play Aurora, a gem folk who is absolutely obsessed with our Bundum friend, Warren. We need good things for this group.
We do. We do.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. I've got nothing going on right now. Just trying to live my best life.
Sounds good.
Passing it on.
All right. So, hi, I'm Sin, he, him, and you can find me on Twitter at Sinziak Beta. It seems complicated to spell, but I promise it isn't. The only thing I think I have going on is a talk about romance and tabletop games on Saturday. So that's going to be fun.
I saw that.
That's it. That's all we have going on over here. In this game, I am a very much shorter than Warren, fey creature with amber eyes and green hair who likes getting into mischief, but the friendly kind, and starts parades.
Friendly kind of parades too. Like,
Oh no, wait, am I Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony?
Oh no.
You might be.
I'm Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony, oh no.
there's worse fates.
You could be Applejack.
Yeah, right? You could be Applejack.
That's fair. Although Applejack is pretty cool.
I do actually like Applejack. If I were a pony, I would probably be Applejack.
I watched one too many Equestria Girls movies to scarred. How about you, D? which
I'm
which My
clipping
Little
that.
Pony are you?
It's another show that I haven't watched that we'll have to.
Oh yeah, everybody, we're not actually gonna play tonight. We're just gonna watch Steven Universe, just so you know.
Okay, well, since we were talking about that, hold on a minute. I need to get a hat.
Well, while he's getting a hat. Hi, everybody. I'm D. I use they, them pronouns. I created the Mnemonic world, setting, framework, thing. The game that oh my gosh.
Oh, that's amazing.
Very nice.
We are ready now. I created Mnemonic and I wrote the rules for the game that we're playing tonight. We are launching a Kickstarter for this Weaver's Almanac on Saturday, August 15th. So show up.
Saturday.
It's this Saturday. I'm really excited and also hella nervous. Everyone, please go and follow the Kickstarter now so that you'll get notified when it launches. And then great things will be happening. I'm really excited to talk about it. And there's just way more than 3 hours worth of stuff to talk about with it. So we can play a game now.
Go bookmark it. It clears your pores. It cleanses your palate. Plates of sushi will magically appear at your house.
Well, shit.
I mean, that's the top
think
tier
I have to
backer
get it now,
level.
you know? It's required now. Magically appearing sushi? What?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm super stoked for that Kickstarter because the game itself already gorgeous. As someone who's bought all the things on itch.io you possibly can, mnemonic related, I'm ready for this Kickstarter.
It's going to be good. I'm excited. We're going to see some stuff from it today.
Burn.
Do I pull up the deck burner for chat, or do you want to do any introductions first?
Yeah. So last time we did the first gathering, which is basically introducing our characters and kind of doing a couple of scenes in the world to like acquaint ourselves with the setting. There's another session format that we're not doing tonight, Into the Gray, which is more scene stuff. Tonight, we're doing Deck Burner, which is kind of like that action-heavy episode of the cartoon show that you love, where everybody on the Power Squad goes to the castle to try and rescue their friend and defeat the Horde. And they have occasional encounters with old rivals and new friends, and there may be some kissing. I don't know. It's whatever happens in your story happens. It's fine. So that's what we're playing tonight. The stakes are really high this time. This is a kind of situation where like the big bad is up to something, and if we don't stop them, bad things will happen. So like last time it was like, there's a drought. Oh gosh, if we don't fix the drought, there will continue to be a drought. Here, like if we don't do something to stop the big bad things will happen. So be prepared for that. But not to the bunnies. We did decide last time.
Yep.
No
matter
harm
what,
shall be.
No matter what happens, nothing happens to the bunnies. They are invincible.
I mean, if need be, Warren will do like a Groot sort of like grow over all the bunnies and just like encapsulate them in a safe little Warren. They won't. No bunnies will be harmed in the making of this role playing game.
Yeah.
So I know that like we mentioned last week that there isn't a lot in Mnemonic that's canon. Can we canonize like these rabbits though?
I mean,
can Chestnut just be a character?
I mean,
within
I will
fiction?
commission. Yeah, I will commission the artwork as a stretch goal.
I welcome anyone to write a supplement that writes a story arc about the bunnies, and then if you want it to be canon in your game, it can be. That's the beauty of it.
Because we need a story about how Warren runs into these bunnies and becomes their caretaker.
Yeah.
The mythos
Could very easily end up in the book that we're writing. Who knows?
I relinquish all rights to the Warren IP to you, dude.
Yeah, I think that's all the intro that we need. So if we want to get into it.
All right, everybody. This is the deck burner. We've got Google Docs up in the center. We've got Roll20 over on the right because we're fancy people who can do that if we don't blow everything up, which we might. Should we rotate through reading the rules like we did last time?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can start us off this time, if we like.
Take it away.
All right. In Deckburner, we are faced with terrible stakes and imminent danger. There is no turning back or running away from the conflict we're about to face. The conflict is coming to us. In this session, we'll be facing powerful foes, both familiar and strange. Maybe we have to fight our way through a complex series of stone corridors and a castle. Maybe we're racing to put out fires before our town is consumed. Deckburner culminates in a final showdown with the adversary, an iconic character that represents the heart of the conflict. If we defeat the adversary, the danger will pass. If we don't, our world will never be the same. This is a session framework with high stakes. You don't have to play it if you don't want to. Into the Gray is a slower paced format that focuses on the people in the story, the quiet moments and difficult decisions that go into making a world a quietly better place. Play Deckburner if you want a gauntlet of violent resistance with a big boss fight at the end. A bit about pacing. There are 16 small scenes in this session and one big showdown to wrap things up. The scenes are designed to play quickly, resist the impulse to dive deep into granular moments, frame the action sequence, tell us the important bits, keep it moving. Expect the session to last around 3 hours. Please pace yourselves, take breaks whenever you need to take breaks to stretch your legs or get some water, either individually or as a group at the end of a scene. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have fun.
I'll pick up. In order to play Deckburner, you will need a deck of playing cards, which we have over on the right in Roll20, and something to keep track of the storytelling details you might want to remember, as well as several plain 6-sided dice with a number of sides 1 through 6. We will roll those and let you know our results. You will also want to keep a collection of dice available in the event that someone chooses to perform a weaving. Continue an existing story? If this is not the first time you've played with your group, then take a few minutes to refresh everyone's memory on what happened last session. If you're following a story arc, you can also use this time to briefly discuss whether or not you will continue what the story as written, or if you want to depart from the story laid out and explore something else. There's nothing wrong with leaving a story behind if it no longer fits the group's dynamics you've established, or the stories that you want to tell. When you're ready, move on to establishing the conflict. Should we do that part? Should we recap the last session a little bit, see if we want to continue along that story arc?
1,000%, because Dee, I think you dropped some hot knowledge on us in our emails that the people have a right to know about. Yeah.
I've had additional thoughts since then.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. This is one of the few games where I'm not generally like, once I'm off the table, I'm done with the game, but this is one of the few where I'm like, I might have to journal in character.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Bleed.
You do a good emperor there, Misha.
Yeah, we're coming for your feelings.
I do Evil Queen quite well. She's a persona for a reason.
Hell yeah. So
Who would like to do a recap for us?
Oh, sure, we'll try. So we, our merry band, set upon going to see, and I forget the name of the town, Westlake, that's the name of the town, so that we could visit their famous carrot festival, so we could find bunnies, carrots for our Bundum's bunnies. And we arrived and there was a drought and there were no carrots and they were getting ready to cancel the carrot festival and we were very upset and I can't remember Jess's character's name, but took it very, very personally. And so we had to then try to cheer up Jess's characters and somehow my character got roped into digging a well and missed a lot of stuff. And so FOMO was a thing. And but we did eventually manage to get the lake back with a weaving by Dee's character, and they brought back an entire lake from the past, I believe, or possibly across time and space. I'm not really sure. It's a weaving. Who knows? But now there's a lake, and so the drought is over officially because water. And I don't know if the little kid's dad ever came back. That's still up in the air. But yeah, that's the short version.
Yeah, that's a pretty good recap.
We did have a big festival that involved an old lady, Agnes, sort of buying in, and she was like, I don't have time for this old, this foolery. But she eventually was sort of softened and helped us when Aurora was in a carrot suit, which was not a carrot suit at all. It was a carrot form. But, she just sort of accepted that you took on carrot form and had a festival anyway. And then I think also Aurora said if we do a gem dance, and so we danced in front of the moon. But you were alone because someone just left, and so Aurora had to chop off one of her hands, or kind of more like
crystal vase,
boop, off the hand. It's
just apoptosis it. It's fine.
Yeah, just boop, so that there were two gems, and Warren was in charge of holding on to the vase. That held it very, very carefully. And it did nothing, but people had a good time. So that was the important
It was the power of believing.
Yes, that's what it was.
I'd just go with it. Sure, we'll entertain you.
Believe hard enough.
What's great is that anyone who didn't see the weaving now believes that the gem dance is real.
Exactly.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Tell us more about that weaving and your thoughts afterwards.
Yeah. So I forgot to mention my character's name is Mouse. And she felt really bad because it was her idea to go to Westlake in the first place. So she felt really guilty about the lack of carrots or water. And so she stood out at the edge of the lake, or what used to be the lake. And she had this tugging at the edge of her mind of this memory that wasn't her own memory. And so she reached out her hands and she pulled, and when she pulled, it pulled the memory of the lake into the present. So it's this lake that used to be there is now there again. And it's the lake that was with all the fish that were in it. And the memory that she pulled on was the memory of her hometown Ironhold that had to leave this place at one point in the distant past. And when the city stood up and left, all the water poured out from under it and formed the lake. And what I didn't say in the last stream, which I was up for 3 hours after thinking about, was that the lake was formed because Ironhold was crying. And so the lake was formed from Ironhold's tears. And so when a city weeps, it forms a lake.
This is fine.
It's fine.
It's
I had to uproot my entire existence and I must leave. So the least I can do is cry lake. Oh.
It's
Gives
a little
Crimea River a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
And we also learned that the city of Ironhold being alive means it has all of these different feelings and stuff, along with the people who live there. That was kind of cool.
There's this thing where, when a ship is about to leave port or go somewhere, one of the first things it will do is kind of empty all of its tanks of the various things that are acquired, And so I very much imagine this all these tears that have been welling up, and it's well, before I go on the journey, I'm gonna leave all of these behind. I'm gonna empty the sad tanks on
You gotta empty the sad tanks.
Right, because you got to be ready to take on more sad on the journey.
Right.
You can't
Yeah.
have the sad tanks be all full. So,
That sounds like good advice. Don't start a journey with your sad tanks full.
Yeah.
I broke Jess.
Oh, I'm emptying my sad tanks.
so D, what's the next part of? So in this story arc, the part we did was confronting a drought. What does the deck burner part of the story arc look like? So we can decide if we want to follow that or if we want to.
So deck burner says, in the middle of the night, the smell of smoke wakes you up from your sleep. Outside, a man in opulent clothing stands in the middle of the road. They compliment your work in saving the town, but inform you that this doesn't work for them. Beyond them, strangers in mercenary garb set fire to shops and homes. The man's smirk dares you to stop him.
Well, there we go. Smirky men. I want to smack the smirk off of them.
Ooh.
To Warren.
That's how-
Yeah.
but Warren.
That's more of a Sean sentiment. I don't know if Warren. I don't like.
So,
him. Would probably be what Warren.
before we do that, if we can we hang out at the lake for a little bit longer? I haven't gotten to spend enough time at the lake.
I don't think we can as part of deck burner because deck burner is like run at danger and face it. But I think we could as an extension of the last session and then roll it into deck burner.
We could set that up as like the beginning circumstances. Like maybe it's not like we're woken up from our sleep. Maybe it's like
we're sitting around the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So before all these bad things happen,
get a moment of
Does that work for you, Sin?
It does. It does. I would like to kind of climb into a tree near the lake and just kind of watch everybody playing around, and then eventually kind of just jump off a branch and right into the lake and like swim around with everybody and just have fun, because we have all of this stuff and we've had like a really cool kind of bonding moment, and we've learned a bit about weaving too, and now we just kind of want to like bask in all of this happy stuff for a moment, because now all of these people can like actually have the festivals that they want to have, and they can do things that people do with water in a town when you have to like grow things and stuff.
I like that.
It's true.
Imagine somebody is imagine Agnes is like standing by the edge of the lake and a fish comes flying out. I don't know if someone chucked it or if the fish just flies out and it like lands in her. She like pulls her like apron up and it like lands in her apron and it's like flopping around in there. And maybe the fish will be let back into the sea, or maybe the fish will be dinner. I'm not sure. I won't specify, but like, she gets splashed and can't help but enjoy the festivity of it all. Should we have the bad news bearers happen to interrupt that, like while everybody's splashing around and having a good time, or do you think that happens like as people have already returned home, and we're the few ones remaining? Sin.
See, I'm an evil person, and so my brain just went to the little kid yells "Daddy" and runs toward the guy in the evil clothes. But I'm evil, so don't feel free to ignore that.
Yeah.
I'm game if you're game.
Oh, and the kid has Chestnut too.
I would like to. Well, I mean, we know that the kid can't get hurt because they have Chestnut, and Chestnut is a rabbit, and that means
yes,
kid is fine.
Yeah,
but also, like, I'm just imagining her running up there only to be like, with the little buddy kind of.
What was the kid's name? It started with a J. It was
Janny.
What?
Yeah, Janny.
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 Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, Janny.
Janny.
So it's like walks kind of like walks up with Chestnut. It's kind of like, wait, you're not my dad. You know?
Oh no, I was fully in my head. It fully was her dad.
Yeah.
Oh wait, oh no.
Oh, yeah. Our trouble. I don't think Jenny's dad has been named. It was just my
No.
dad.
Yeah.
He went away when the drought started, and he hasn't come back. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that looks like, but if we want an antagonist that we have an emotional tie to, I think Janny's dad is a good place for it. I'm for it, Misha. I'm willing to explore that possibility with you and find out what deep dark hole it goes into.
That's really interesting.
I think
Yeah,
I think I could be okay with that because I know that Janny won't get hurt.
Of course not.
Yeah.
It's Dad. Why would Dad hurt her?
We
It's
toyed
just
with the
Rest of
idea
the town.
that the dad was like woven away with the lake. So
This could be evil version of dad.
yeah,
right?
it
This
could be like
Oh, yeah.
parallel.
Right.
Oh
It
gosh,
is
when you
her
come
dad,
back from the
but
past,
it's
you're different.
Evil twin
Yeah.
dad or something, yeah, or past dad or something like that. Yeah, I think that. That way we have.
It's timey-wimey. That's applicable.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I had this thought of like Mouse trying to like explain how the waving happened and like trying to like recreate it, like on a smaller scale, but like this, like she's never done this before, so she's trying to like explain it to other people and like just to like frame how we all have the ability to weave, because it's going to come up in Deckburner. She like teaches everybody how to do it, but like none of us really know how it works.
Yeah.
So, like, do you mean it's kind of like playing a guitar in a band?
It's kind of like being put on stage with a band and being given a guitar and being asked to play a song that you're pretty sure you've never played before, but you think you know. And then you play it, and it's great.
But you've never played a guitar before.
Right.
All right.
It's yeah, it's kind of like that.
I think Warren has just been standing like knee deep or so in the water, sort of letting their body absorb the water because it was dried out. We sort of established that they were sort of flaking off and drying out, and like their body kind of turning into mud, kind of turning into the bottom of the lake is kind of just like there's always a sort of back and forth there. It's like what's entirely Warren, what's the dirt beneath them. That's always a little ambiguous. But I think they kind of have their like arms out, and there's like bunnies perched up on them, and they're like some like nibbling, like it's like right above the water level. It's like the bunnies like nibbling in the water, and then Warren like tries to like air guitar, but like can't move their arms because there's too many bunnies on them, so they can't. They kind of just like with their like wrists. Sorry, like get this in camera. Like with their wrists, just kind of like barely like air guitar, and they're like, yeah. Try to remember with their big old knobby fingers.
I'm trying to imagine now we have like two kind of like 80s like glam rock looking bunnies playing air guitar while like Mouse is talking about weaving.
Would the air guitar that Warren plays, is it an envisioning of like folk acoustic, or is it like straight up metal or rock?
I mean, I think it comes out like diddly bong when yeah.
It's
I
the
think
sweet arpeggio of a classical guitar. I hear
yes,
it now.
There you go. Thank you, Jess, for articulating that so much better than I could.
Oh, it's so resonant. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. But,
I think we all hear it.
oh, nice.
Like I think like that moment of like embodying it, like
makes it real for a moment.
Yeah.
Makes the sound real.
Yeah.
Nice. Hi, puppy. What? Something made a puppy appear. Maybe it was Warren's music. Who knows? Okay.
You're saying we all can make the music appear?
I think so. If you try. If you want to try. It was kind of scary at first.
I think Aurora doesn't really understand the concept of trying.
Is there do
So-
or do not? There is no try.
Yeah, it's definitely more on that effort. Like if effort is going to be expended, it's you believe it full-hearted. So
Yeah.
so they're gonna think about it for a little bit.
I think that's an interesting dimension to Aurora because you were totally willing to do something that you knew was just made up, and so willing to do the point of like losing your own hand to like complete it. So it's not that something has to be true for you to do it. It's that you have to know what it is. Like it can't be uncertain. I dig that. I dig that dimension, or at least that's the way that
I love it.
I
It's
perceive
yeah,
it,
you're
right?
not wrong. Woo.
I feel
Ooh,
like
this is good.
Wednesday has appeared. It does drag me all day. They get out of here.
Is this when doom and gloom appears, or do we want more? I'm not rushing towards it, but I also just want to make sure we are playing the deck burner
Mm-hmm.
setup. Yeah, cool. I think that should be when this figure appears and Janny runs over. You know.
I think what I would notice as we're playing at the lake is that Janny just kind of takes off running with Chestnut, and we're just kind of like, "Hey, Janny, where are you going? You can't like take Chestnut away from their friend." Oh no,
Who's that?
who's that?
Apparently, Daddy.
And I think we
Is
already.
that what-
I think we see like in the distance the town is not that far away. The town is definitely visible, and so I think we can see a few houses like burning and like people like it's already bad stuff is happening, right? Like
Yeah. It's like that shift of like, you know, people are having like bonfires and like roasting marshmallows, and so like there's like some fires going on, and then we see off in the distance like a different kind of fire.
Oh wait, that's way bigger than any fire you need for a marshmallow.
the bad ones, yeah. Could be
I think someone would
big
actually say
marshmallow.
that. Be like, "Oh, fire's way too big for marshmallows. What would we?" Oh no.
Oh dear. The good
Let's
news
read
is we've got
the-
plenty of water
Yeah.
now.
This is true.
So we could read
Rocket Brigade?
through. We could read through establishing the conflict because there's some questions that might guide us.
Cool. I can read the thing. So for establishing the conflict, if you're following a story arc, begin by reading that arc's prompt text provided for Deckburner. This prompt will give you a bit of additional context for the adventure you're about to have and how it fits with the rest of that story. If you're not following a story arc for this session, that's okay too. Just fill in the gaps the best you can. With your group, take a few minutes to discuss the following questions. What is the danger that is threatening us or the people we care about? That seems pretty set up here.
I would say that there's another danger, which is that this may appear to be Jammy's dad, but may be a alt version of him, or maybe something really really bad happened to him on the road that's changed his mind. Like I don't think we necessarily know, but I think that this is not the father that Jamie expected. Like visually it is, but his actions of coming back to the town to burn it are certainly not.
I wonder if there's something in the way that he's dressed that is like signals to us that like he's clearly not.
Is it the goatee? Is it...
Classic Star Trek.
Yes, exactly.
He doesn't have the the ceremonial carrot brooch that you wear when you travel out of town to signify that you're from Westlake.
I dig that. Like,
Can I take that one step further? He doesn't
Yes.
have the carrot brooch that Janny made him to wear outside of town.
You monster.
really
I
go
love
for.
it. No, this is why we pay you the big bucks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that's the first thing she says. She's like, "Daddy," and she hugs him. And she wraps her arms around his leg, and then she's like, "Where's Where's the brooch I made you?" And I think
he's
he
like-
looks confused.
he's like, what brooch?
Yeah. So cool. So I just want to posit that there's also the threat of we may have maybe like messed with the space-time continuum. We may have invited evil duplicates. We might not harm Jamie in the form of her being in any physical peril, but it is upsetting if your daddy is suddenly not your daddy or not acting like your daddy.
Right.
Those are scary things. So, in addition to the town burning and all of that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of danger.
Plenty of danger established. Are we ready to move on to
Yeah.
the next question? Okay. We're also trying to answer what singular entity exists at the heart of that danger.
This definitely sounds like Dad.
I mean, at the current established canon, it's definitely the concrete heart of danger is Dad,
Mm-hmm.
quotation marks. I'm curious to explore that further.
I could certainly see Dad serving some Dark Lord, Dad being bound to some infernal power, Dad, you know.
We could even like, rather than like go super traditional evil, we could even make it like he is just a product of space-time chaos, like true neutral,
Yeah.
coming from a different reality.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think maybe in some woven version of the future, he saw that Westlake was going to be abandoned, and there's some reason why that needs to happen. And so, by us stopping the drought, we have undone some important thing. And he's like, well, if they wouldn't leave the town one way. I don't want to prescribe too much about him, but I like the idea that maybe he has an agenda that isn't entirely just mustache twirling.
Yeah.
This is like, sounds very kind of Thanos in the way that it works. Like, I have things, things needed to happen in the way that they happen, and you've messed that up. So now I have to fix that. And
Oh,
but you're about
Big
to burn
oof.
down the whole town to do that. Well,
Well, if you think about it, burning down the whole town is one way to make sure that everybody is safe because they're all at the lake right now and that they don't return home. That might not work, but it is a mindset one might have. You might think, okay, if I really want everyone to abandon the town, what I do is wait for them to leave and then burn it down, and then they won't come back. If for some reason you thought being in the town was worse than losing your home, I don't know. We'll find out the rest of it. But I like the idea that there's some plausible, non-horrific reasons why this might be happening, or at least non-horrific in the eyes of
I think that
Jamie's dad.
there's an element of it that we like. The person that we see needs to be a person that we must defeat, because there is going to be like the big boss fight at the end.
Yep.
But there's definitely something interesting about someone who is following like a set course of action. In Mnemonic, there's this concept of echoes, where when someone is gone but the world has trouble letting go of them, they come back as an echo of themselves. It's kind of like a ghost, but it's not a ghost. And so I wonder if there's something to that like Janny's dad is gone, but Janny is having trouble letting go of him, and her memory of him is so powerful that it's manifesting. But because of like the warping nature of like the appearance of the lake, like that echo is distorted.
I can see it.
I can get down for that. Yeah, maybe you weren't the only one who's doing some weaving.
Yeah.
it's just kind of
Holy-
like she she added like a little bit of a minor note to the general melody of this weaving, and now this has happened.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I dig it. I'm
No,
ready
no,
to explore that.
no guilt on Jamie here, but
No, it's just kind of like there's something to be said about like me being all about the cartoons and the anime and things of just being like a, a kid or someone with like a very singular, very pure wish for something, especially people that they miss. It's kind of like, I wish my dad were home, and then a lake that they haven't seen in ages finally appears, and it's kind of like, maybe if I get the lake back, maybe that means my dad is coming home. And then he does, but oh no.
Very Pet Cemetery.
yes. All right.
Awesome. We're halfway
Cool.
through. What are the surrounding circumstances or obstacles that will make it more difficult for us to reach the heart of that danger?
Like other than the army?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's sort of an immediate threat that we have to address first, which is the town burning and things like that. Like, I think there's like the putting out the fires and dealing with all the people who are lighting the fires. That we can't really deal with Dad until we put that out of. Yeah.
And also, we probably don't want to like do something bad to Dad in front of Janie because we don't really want to make her feel even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Last question. How are we going to put a stop to the danger and keep our people safe? Insert Jenny into a bubble. Take her away to the pillow fort of safety.
I think it might be convince Jamie that this is not her real dad, which might involve some, you know, conflicts.
She is very precocious.
Yeah, it might involve some conflicts with her dad to make him kind of reveal his nature and find out why. I think as long as she wants him here, he's gonna have power over this place.
So I need to look at the die that we have because I'm very curious about a thing.
What thing?
Like things that you could essentially things that you could possibly use the weave to do. Like we had rain, so what other things can you do with the weave?
Seems pretty open ended to me. I didn't feel like there was I didn't feel like there was a powers list that I know of that D.
There's going to be a list of 13 dice. Not all of them have been designed or written. So for tonight, it's very open-ended. It's
Okay.
If you can remember it, it exists. So we've got plenty of room to play. There is a fire die that if someone wants to roll that, they can, and we have a table for it. But
Nice.
yeah.
I think the last part is when we're ready to go, we establish a turn order and then follow the rules until the session is over. Are we ready to dive into this? Do we know how we're going to put a stop to the danger? Actually, have we answered that?
I have an idea for something I'd like to try with maybe a fire die.
I think that I guess my thing is if we want to answer this question, I think to me what this question is saying is how will we know when we have defeated what action is it that we anticipate that will defeat our foe and keep us safe, like for instance maybe defeating Jamie's dad isn't the thing that is needed to keep us safe. It's running off the army, or it's yeah, like you said, putting Jamie in a safe place in a loving family, where she's willing to give up, or finding her current time continuum dad, or etc. Like, so what do we think, Sin? What are you thinking? Will keep the people safe?
Well, the thing I'd be thinking about is, you know, the immediate threat of, hey, there are fires happening, and I would like them to not be happening because that is definitely going to hurt people. And I have the rest of my friends here, and they're all very capable of different things, and maybe they can do things with the people. Oh no, Aurora, please do not do this.
What? Oh dear.
I'm just it would tie up some loose ends quite nicely.
It's interesting.
Yeah. All right. So I need guidance, D. Take us away.
How do you mean?
How okay.
What
How
is
are
the
we
next thing that we do?
Yeah, how are we
Oh.
proceeding?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do we need to read the rules? Oh, we should
Yes.
read the rules. Okay, I'll read that part if you don't mind.
We're supposed to pick a turn order and then read the rules. So
Yeah.
should we establish a turn order? I don't know the significance of it yet, but I'm sure we'll figure it out as we go.
It's basically just who goes first, who goes second. We should know that. We could go with the same order that we introduced ourselves in. That's
That works.
nice and easy.
Sure, no pressure. Amaryllis, save the day.
Sure, no problem. You won't like it, but I'll do it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think I
No.
love it.
Misha is the one who's thought of all of the like most heartbreaking things tonight. I have to say, like, oh, it's Dad. Oh, it's not Dad's talisman that's missing. It's the talisman she made him. Come on
It's great.
now. Heartbreak City right now.
Keep pushing it.
All right. Yeah. Well, Misha, why don't you read the rules then?
Sure.
As we get started.
We're gonna be drawing cards from a deck, a single deck, to determine the pacing of this sequence. If you want to make sure you burn through the entire deck, place one of the jokers at the bottom of the deck. First things first, figure out the order of who will take the turn and win. The game begins with the first player in that order. When it's your turn, your character has the focus of the scene. Follow these steps to carry it through. 1. Build tension with care or reckless abandon. It's up to you. Draw cards from the deck one at a time. When a face card, Jack, Queen, King, or Ace, appears, place it at the center of the table and gather together the other cards you drew. 2. Resolve the scene. Frame the scene and take the group through the rules for the fight, if applicable, including variations as appropriate for the face card that was drawn. 3. Pass the turn. When the scene is resolved, pass the turn to the next player in the order. Each joker has special rules and do not include the standard fight rules. As soon as the second joker has been resolved, shift over to the wrap-up. So you keep drawing cards until you hit a face card, and you basically have to use all the cards in your hand somehow.
Pretty much.
Cool. Joy.
How many cards do we draw?
Until you get a face card.
Yeah, you draw it until you get a face card, and then whatever cards you drew are like the pieces on the board for that fight. And we can go through the rules for the fight when we get to that.
Do we read keeping score, or should we open up a scene right now and try?
I can briefly summarize keeping score. Basically, we need a scorekeeper because there's going to be points scored in each scene. I've got a score sheet, so I will be
Nice.
keeping score.
Nice, thank you, scorekeeper.
So that we don't have to worry about that. The score will be important at the end of the game, at the end of the session, when we find out if we win or if we lose. And then there are other things together with that. Before we get into it, I do want to mention, if you roll the dice and you don't like how it goes, you can re-roll. That's universal throughout the game. I call it changing your luck. If something doesn't go your way and you need to score more points in a scene, you can weave, which is you ask someone for a die, and then they choose a memory type for you, and then you roll a die, and then you add points to your score based on that. And then at any point, if you want to win a scene and you don't feel like re-rolling and you don't feel like weaving a memory, you can accept a terrible cost, which means that your character leaves the story forever, and then you win the scene and we win the session. So, super overpowered move, but you
can only do it once.
die.
Okay.
So
Noted.
don't do it lightly.
Some things
but
are
that
worth
option is
melting
always
for.
there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Misha, do you want to start us off with the fight? So you're going to draw cards onto the table until you get to a numbered card.
So you get to a face card, right?
Yeah.
Not a face card. Not a face card.
So that's a 9 of diamonds, a 4 of spades, an 8 of diamonds.
Aha! A jack of spades.
There we go.
It was a crappy poker hand.
So the jack of spades is fun. They represent the rival. When you turn the corner, you see a familiar face. Hey, pal. Their voice slides into your ear and a shiver rolls through you like a cold wind. They know you. You know them. Tell your friends not to wait up. This might take a while. When you draw the rival, consider the following. Misha, who are they?
This is Hyacinth. Hyacinth is from the tower. We grew up together.
Yeah? Okay, so Hyacinth knows you because you grew up together. Why do you always fight when you meet?
Hyacinth is under the mistaken belief that only one of us can succeed at any given thing.
And why do you never kill each other?
Because I don't want to kill them. I just want them to, like, go away and leave me alone.
And why do they never kill you?
Because they're not that good.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. So you got your numbered cards on the table. You got a 9, an 8, and a 4. Is that right?
Yep.
The suit for this one is spades. Remind me what your strong suit is?
Hearts, I believe.
Hearts? Okay. So that is not a match. So this is a weak circumstances for you, which means you're only going to roll 1 die. So go ahead and roll a d6.
A 1.
A 1. The
A
nice thing about a
1.
1 is that you get to re-roll it. So go ahead and re-roll.
A 4.
A 1 and a 4. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to take the dice that you rolled. So you've got a 1 and a 4, and you want to put them together in a way that matches as many of the numbers on the table as possible. So a 9, an 8, and a 4. You've got a 4, so that's good. You don't have a way to match up to a 9 or an 8.
8 plus 1 equals 9.
Yes, but you can only add your dice together.
Yeah, I think all I can do is match a 4.
Okay, so that is going to give you 1 point. And then for any card that doesn't match the dice that you put together, the adversary, or in this case Hyacinth, scores 1 point. So that means Hyacinth scores 2 points, 1 for the 9 and 1 for the 8, and you score 1 point for the 4. Which means Hyacinth is going to win this scene, win this fight. And they're going to leave you kind of in the dust. And before we move on to like what happens with that, are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
They finally figured out how to beat me. I'm proud of them, kind of.
Cool.
This is like your Pokemon rival finally beating you in that one match, and you're just like, I see that you have grown into a worthy adversary in my absence.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you lose, if the adversary's score is higher, your rival beats you and leaves you writhing in the dirt. So I'm going to add 3 points to the adversary's score for this scene. So instead of getting 2 points, they get 5 points.
Excuse me.
And you get
so
1
I
point.
know where the 2 points came from. Where did the 3 that just?
So
Whoever wins, I gets
yeah,
an additional
whoever
3
wins
points
gets
for
an
that scene.
extra 3 points for this scene.
Got it.
And my question for you is, what does Hyacinth say as they walk away? And why does it make your blood boil?
Is this all before? Is this all before we sort of narrate what's actually going on? That we figure all these things out and then we narrate it, or is this the scene itself?
This is the scene itself.
Okay, so Misha should be ostensibly narrating a little bit of like what happened.
Yeah, like you can like take this moment to like tell us how this scene goes.
Yeah.
Now that we know how it plays out.
So I think it probably starts off with just, verbal jabs at each other, reminding each other of all the times we've gone up against each other in the past. And then it kind of I think what happens is I overextend and I run into like one of the buildings that's on fire and the building collapses on me. And I think what they do end up saying is, see, I told you you were dangerous. And it makes my blood boil because that's the thing that I had picked as the lie that people have been telling me the whole time.
Wow.
That's mean. That's mean,
Yeah.
Misha.
I'm very mean to myself.
Did Hyacinth appear with the army?
I think so.
Was she like either among them or leading them or auxiliary to them? Yeah, cool.
I don't know if she's like leading a small group or if she's just part of the group. Like when I ran across her, there was like a couple other people behind her, but I kind of ignored them and was focused on her. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Is that scene or do we?
I think so.
That's the scene. So that's the step is called the messiness of violence. You compare the numbered cards and you score 1 point for each match. The adversary scores for a point for each non-match. For the rival, the winner also gets 3 points. And then resolve it and pass it to the next player.
All right. Jess, go for it.
All right, let's start drawing these cards. Oh, that didn't take long.
Okay.
What if the first card you draw is a face card?
There are rules for a tie. And so if there are no cards, then no one has an opportunity to score points. So it ends up being a tie, which ends up being, it's going to be different for each face card.
Got it.
Tasty.
Yeah. So for the queen, we are looking at an ally. Help, please, someone, anyone, help. The voice hits you in a quiet moment and you're there in a flash, ready to help them, whoever they are. When you draw the ally, consider the following. Who are they?
I'm going to have to say it's old lady. What's her face? Agnes. Yeah, it's got to be Agnes.
That was Jamie's grandmother too, right? I'm pretty sure that they're all related.
Oh, that's right, for sure. No, you can't yawn. Don't do that to me. Okay, so yes, ally is Agnes asking for help.
All right. And what danger is Agnes in?
I want to say Agnes moved a little faster than her body allowed her to in order to see why the town was burning. So she rolled her ankle. She pulled a fallen and can't get her situation.
Uh,
Sorry, Sid.
how does she defend herself? Which I guess in this situation is whatever you want.
Okay, reframing, like, are there active like people army like
I mean, we've got
encroaching?
mercenaries all around.
Okay, then yeah, she's absolutely swinging her carrot engraved cane, this purple heart cane with all these, like, they've been engraved into like little stacks of carrots, like a little like a carrot candy cane. And she's just like swinging it all ablaze and just like, no, stabbing people in the nads and stuff.
Like you do with your carrot cans.
The best use for it. Why can't you leave her behind?
She's like the embodiment and protection of this town. She is comfort and authority wrapped into one character, and she's also Jenny's grandma.
Right.
And I just divulged the secret of the magic crystal ritual of belief.
All right. So you got one card. And the suit here it's the Queen of Clubs. So remind me what your strong suit was?
Spades.
Spades? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a color match, which is good. That means you're going to roll 2 dice. And because it's the ally, you get to roll an extra die. So you roll 3 dice.
Yes.
All right. One of you be a 3. I'll even take 2. I'll take a 2 and a 1. Okay, so 3d6 going. No. 1, 2, 6 for a total of 9.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So you want to try and build a 3 if you can,
Yes.
which it looks like you can.
Question:
I'm
since one of
coherent.
those is a 1, does she get to re-roll the 1?
She does. And actually, if you can match a card more than once, you score an extra point.
Oh.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's
Interesting.
worth doing.
Okay. So does it count as a match before I re-roll the 1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the reroll doesn't replace it. It's in addition.
Yeah.
You still keep the 1, but
Okay. So can I do 4 minus 1?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That would
that's
be
fine.
cool.
Like cumulative only.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Additives.
So you got a point. The adversary is not going to score any because you matched all the cards, so that's good. So that's 1 point for you, no points for the adversary. And when you win, you get 5 points.
I'm big and sparkly.
That's a total of 6.
nice.
So,
And
if
also,
you win,
yeah.
Sean, do you want to read the?
Yeah, sure. If you win, if your score is higher, you help the ally get out of trouble, and they join your group. Yay! Add 5 points to your score for the scene, and gather +1 die when you face any card that matches this ally's suit. What lesson do you leave your ritual? What lesson do you leave your ritual with, as you?
Oh gosh, that's. I apologize. The prompt there is for the rival.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Tell me what the prompt should be, dude.
The prompt is what words of wisdom do they give you when they join your group?
Nice.
Sure. Okay. I picture myself running to her aid, and I think I will take part of a piece of my armor and untie it, perhaps like the forearm leather, and essentially brace her ankle with it in order to allow her to function and stand up on her own. And with that vision, I forgot what the actual prompt was.
What words of wisdom do they offer as they join your group?
Oh Jesus. I don't have many old lady figures in my life, so I'm open for a table collab on this one.
I feel like it should be something germane to the situation. That doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily sound like it would be a super, like, like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. We have expanded that to mean a ton of different things, but if you think about the literal text of it, it's pretty limited, right? Like, so I think, like, a carrot cane. A carrot cane in the face is worth, is better than a slip in the ditch or something like that. Something that's like very specific to this
Okay.
situation, but that we will in future thoughts like expand it to mean more.
Oh my gosh.
To mean more things like that. It's like a carrot cane in your hand is better than an ankle stuck in a ditch or something like that. I don't know. That's my possible contribution. If you.
I stinking love it. Yeah, I feel like it's a very innocuous, like, to me when I first hear Agnes say it, I just think it's not advice. I don't think much of it, but it's so poignant that I will remember it, and then it'll come up later.
Nice. And now we
Yeah.
have to try and figure out how to make that mean anything in some other context. But I have faith. I think we can reincorporate.
Yeah.
Cool. So do you want to finish out the scene and pass it on?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel good about this scene. What else do we need? How how are we letting her join our forces? Coaching us like from the sidelines?
I wonder if she's like helping guide us through the town because she's like lived here for so long.
Yeah. I dig it.
I could also imagine her like helping us arrange like a bucket brigade to get the water from the lake to like everyone's running to the town like, no, my home, my whatever, and they want to like get their prized possessions, but like Agnes is probably the one to be like, forget getting your
Get your pennies in order. You
So basically, she goes into the same boat that she was in when she was leading the parade of being like, all right, people in your places, buckets, water, there's fire
all
over here
those,
type of stuff. Yeah.
All those vases and those bottles that we were using for the ritual seem pretty handy.
Use them.
I think the wisdom that she would give you in that case, picking up the vase that you left and giving you like a knowing look, but not saying anything. Because like, here's this thing that you thought like wouldn't even like necessarily work, but it turns out to be the most useful thing that they have right now.
Better than a jar of carrots.
Yeah.
I love Agnes.
I think she'd actually say that. Oh no.
It sounds pretty canonical to me.
But it's not like it's like, oh well, at least it's not a jar of carrots. It's like, no, this is better than a jar of carrots.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the best thing since sliced bread. This is better than a jar of carrot.
It's perfect. I love it. I'm good.
Wait, oh no. Now we have a whole town of people who have all of their things like phrasings and stuff as idioms related to like carrots specifically.
Yep.
Story checks.
A carrot in the hand is worth two in the ground.
Like that stuff right there. Oh no.
I can see that would actually even make sense. Okay,
Yeah.
That one is
Right?
perfect.
It's because you could pull a carrot up and it could turn out to be like
a total
nothing.
dud.
A total dud, right?
Yeah,
You can see two stems and they might not mean anything, but if you got one,
We got all of these jars, but we have them in our hands. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. I love it so much.
Is it Sin's scene?
Are we passing the scene over?
Go Sid. Go Sid.
Okay,
Go
so
Sid. It's your birthday.
draw.
Get your
Do we
scenes
just
out.
draw one at a time?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you just drag them out
Oh.
of the area.
Yeah, the little one that sticks up top. Just bring it. You can click and hold.
That's 4 of hearts.
Wait, the one that appears up top, you said?
Yeah.
So when you mouse over the deck, there's one that like is like beep,
It kind of
Here
like
I
inches out a
am.
little bit, like oop, yeah.
There you
But
go.
first, the one
Wait,
that's
where is that happen? Where is that happening?
over the deck.
The
Yeah,
deck
kind of
itself.
looks like it's two
Oh,
cards.
okay.
And there's
There
like
you
one card behind that kind of slides up. If you drag
There
that,
you go.
Okay.
Oh, look at all
Oh,
these
gosh.
reds.
I am.
This
I
is a
am.
bloody
Oh,
there we go.
oh.
Okay.
Do I?
Right with the
Do I?
bandit.
Do I stop?
Yeah.
Yes,
Now
the
you
ace
stop.
Oh,
of
okay. It's an
discard.
All
ace.
right.
Can I read this
ooh.
one?
The
Wait.
ace of face.
Yeah, go for it. I'm
Okay.
gonna arrange these cards a little bit. Go ahead.
Up there. Who's that? We've never seen him before. They look big. The gate is the enemy that stops you in your tracks, who tries to throw you off the ledge, who wants to make sure you remember their face. In any other story, they'd be the main villain, but here, they're just going to make us work for our progress, and it's probably going to hurt. So, who are they? You know who I would say that this person is like actually just physically big. My characters, I've imagined them, is probably too much of a wonder to make real solid friends or enemies, which is why they enjoy you so much. But who would this person be? I think they would be a giant sunchild. Like from my perspective, they look like a really angry Warren with no bunnies.
A Warren without bunnies?
I would literally just look at them like this person is sad and angry because they don't have bunnies.
I mean,
checks out.
Why are we underprepared? Who would have expected another Warren? I'm unprepared because I don't know anything about this place or about people who would be here to set things on fire. I literally had no expectations for anything being on fire, and water just came out of nowhere. So with all of this, like I'm entirely unprepared for all of this. Why would they work for the adversary? Why do any of these people work for the adversary? Well, to be fair, I actually have an idea about that, but I think that these people were that this particular person was hired somehow. Like they're here because on like as mercenary work. It would be one of those, it's nothing personal, but I'm gonna have to stop you because if I don't get paid. Type of thing. It's not an adversary I have any kind of personal attachment to. I think I would actually ask them who they are.
Little M's like, who are you?
There would be a lot of this happening because my character's
Like
not
looking up.
especially tall. And a lot of them like kind of glaring down and being intimidating. Are you here for the parade? No, I'm not here for the parade. Did you want to swim? No. You sound angry. I think it would be at this point, if they had one, that they would just be like, we're going to fight because you have to stop. Also, why are you being annoying? I put them in my pocket, didn't I? I have one, I don't know how many dice I have, but I have one fewer because they're all big and intimidating and scary. So things could go terribly wrong.
What's your strong suit?
My strong suit is diamonds.
Okay, so that's a color match, which would normally be 2. So with 1 less, that's 1 die.
So how many does that give us in total?
You get 1 die.
Just 1?
Yeah.
Just one.
So the adversary is going to get at least 2 die here, I think.
Well, the adversary doesn't roll any dice here. The adversary just scores points for any cards you don't match.
So roll a
So roll
lot of
one.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay, here goes. Oh, wait, nope, I did that wrong. Let me do that again. Nope, I promise I know how this whole thing works. There we go.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that's none, I think.
Yeah, Sin rolled a 5, and there are no
Okay.
5s on the table.
Yeah, but now there are some options to re-roll, and there are also some options to borrow from friends, to ask friends to help out, and I think there are even other options that you said earlier, and I just forgot. But I'm gonna pull them up on screen.
Yeah.
So when we're doing this, am I trying to match a number or exceed a number when we
You're
do
trying
this?
to match a number.
Okay.
So in this case, with a 5, you can't match any of them. So you could change your luck and try and roll again, and roll again and hope that you roll a 2 or a 4 or a 6, or a 1 and then a 2 and a 4 or a 6. You could also weave and just call on the power of memory, and then one of us can pick a kind of memory that might be, and then you roll a d6, and then based on that roll, you will just score points.
Okay. So
You can also do
I'm
both of those things if you want.
And you can also accept a terrible cost. You can leave the story but win the whole thing. But that sort of ends that ends everything, I think.
well, I mean that wouldn't be fair because then that would happen before everybody else got a turn, and it hasn't
That's
gotten
the speed run.
catastrophic.
I
Hasn't
mean,
gotten
it would be a very fast run of yeah.
speed run strats. Well, I mean, like, all right, we're gonna have a break and end in 4 minutes. No, I am going to. I think I'm gonna go with that combination of the two. I want to kind of run over to Warren for kind of encouragement because he's kind of big but not scary.
Yeah. I think Warren has been slowly getting out of the water. They move slow to begin with, and they're pretty waterlogged. And so as they're getting out, like water is like pouring out of all of their various bunny orifices, all of the like various holes and things, whatnot. And so they're kind of like walking out, and like, water's pouring out of places. They have holes all over them because they're like an earth elemental, but
I was fine until I saw Misha's face.
sorry, Misha.
And so,
But
Misha,
I think in part like their plan was to walk to the their plan was to like walk into the town and like wring themselves out, and
Yeah.
spray all this water, right? But instead, I think they stopped by M, and yeah, and Sin, what do you yeah? How can Warren help you?
there's I don't know. They're really there's someone over there and they're really big and scary and they look like you, but angry. Maybe because they don't have rabbits.
Stove. And I think if it's okay, I'm gonna add an element to them. Is that okay? They don't have rabbits in them. They have a big burning ball of fire in them that is like making their the earth of them like harden, and they look more like steel and metal, and they could set fire to the town. And is that
And
okay?
now that is okay. And now this is like, oh wait, it's a person Warren knows.
Yeah. I think actually I'll call them Forge instead. Yeah, same sentiment, like Forge. And I think D, how does Weave work? What does the person who's helping do? Do they take an action, or do they describe how they help, or?
So with weaving,
Mm-hmm.
you You ask someone for a die to roll. Here, I'll read the text. You call on the power of memory, yours or the world's, and accept the risk that the thread you pull might be more powerful than you can control. Ask another player to choose a die for you to roll from the 13 tables, or ask them to describe a new die for you to roll. Roll the die, then ask the player to interpret the roll to describe the effect you create. So if you're calling Warren over to help you with this scene, Warren, you could call on the power of a memory to like do magic to help that way, or you can work together and then Sin and then Im can call on the power of memory to do magic. It's kind of up to you. But if you have a memory that you want to offer here, go ahead and describe what kind of memory it is and then roll a d6.
Well, I'm looking right now at the 13 dice, and I see, and I just want to show them off because they're there. I see the rain die, which seems very appropriate, but it is not complete. I also see the storm die, which feels perhaps appropriate. And this lake that sort of was just as we're next to this lake that was just sort of recreated as a memory of the past. I think more atmospheric events that surrounded this lake could aid us. Does that sound cool to you, Sin? That we would have a storm that comes from it?
A storm. Okay. Because I'm thinking either storms or fires, but storm sounds appropriate
I
because
just feel
it would
like,
think about where would rain come. Like rain would be
yeah,
nice. Where would rain come from?
right. And I'm thinking like the lake is here, but there was a time when this lake was storming and raging, and blustering, and like maybe dark clouds start forming over it, and we have this moment of the memory of the storm manifesting. I also
Okay.
dig fire because the fire die, but I don't feel like that's fire's on our side at the moment. Like I don't feel like fire is our friend.
I
Someone
have
somewhere here has already rolled the fire die.
I will leave a note here that if we roll the fire die, I have an idea. But if we roll the storm die, I also have an idea.
Let's see. I haven't looked at what any of them do. I'm going to read the description. The fire die is bright and red with crisp golden numbers etched in each side. Its heart is flecked with amber and coal. When you roll the fire die, you call forth flames great and small. There's some with theorize that all fires come from the same fire, and the fires are one fire. Okay, that does sound very cool. The storm die. Storm die is garish contrast, swirling pools of gray stuck down in the middle by flashes of pales and blues and yellows. It is difficult to look at directly. The storm calls forth maelstroms of wind and lightning. The storm is a curious leviathan, a force of chaos and destruction, yet a catalyst for strength and the rush of the wild that strikes the airborne electricity, sets one's senses alight with fire. To parley with the storm is to invite chaos into one's realm. Whether the storm grants momentous strength or abject destruction, the weaver must be prepared to face both, or desperate enough to go for broke. Yes, I want to say I want the fire die at some point, but right now I want the storm die. I think that's very cool. So, Sin, why don't you roll another die and see what we get?
Okay. So I think about okay. So um Warren suggests weaving to me.
What was that? Sorry.
Yeah, I think the first thing is you roll a d6, and then we can kind of interpret that based on what you roll.
Okay. So wait, in D20, hold on, in roll 20. Give me a second.
Oh,
Because I had like D6s on the table. Okay, so we have a 2.
So a 2, which is weaving, which is the good. That's a good result. You're going to score an extra 5 points, and on here, no, I had it wrong. On the storm die, it's different because anything under a 6 is a result of fray, which is worth 10 points. So for a result of 2, the target is made stronger by the storm. So when the storm hits, it empowers you. It fills you with strength.
Is the target is not Forge? The target is M, correct? Or is
I mean, unless you want to empower Forge, but I think in this case you don't.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think it would be me.
Yeah, so I think I think Warren would say like, because Mouse was just talking about all of the, anybody can leave if you just remember something. And I think Warren's like, do you remember when there was a horrible storm here? The powerful winds that knocked down the tallest I don't think there's really towers in this town. I think there was a tower once. There's a big barn or something like that, but they call it the tower because it was the tallest building in town. And do you remember the storm that knocked down the tallest tower? And I'm sort of overtly referencing Forge, this huge creature that's towering over you.
So I'm looking at Warren as he described. Well, as he described this, I'm like, no, not especially. But I remember that Mouse said it's kind of like playing an instrument, right? So, okay. And so I kind of like make, take the hand positions of like a lute that I, like that obviously isn't there, right? So I go and I'm like, well, I don't have a lute, but I guess we can just kind of pretend I have one, kind of looking at the bunnies for encouragement and things. And then I go to strum, and instead of making a musical note, I hear the roll of thunder.
Nice.
So
I don't know what happened, but I think it worked.
What happens to Forge in this case? Are they?
Yeah, because with 10 points, you're gonna win this fight. Because Forge has 1, 2, 3, 4 points, and you have 10, so you get the win.
Okay, so what happens is I kind of like, I don't even understand what has happened completely, but like if Warren were looking, or if anybody were kind of like looking around, they would notice that my hair is now like glowing and has like streaks of lightning running through it. And it's just, thank you, Warren. That was really helpful. I think I'm gonna go and try to talk to Forge again and see how this goes. And I kind of walk back with purpose to talk to Forge, who's still very annoyed and like quite prepared to attack me. And I'm like, Forge, you have to stop and go home. This is bad and mean, and you shouldn't do it. And when he refuses to listen, I, being the small creature that I am, actually just try to like push him out of town. But when I go to touch him, he actually goes like flying back like a whole like mile and some change. And I'm just like, wait, what happened? What did I do?
Is there like an audible like crack of lightning when you do it, or is it all like subtle and we don't know where the source of power came from?
Oh no, there would definitely there would just be something dramatic, like either like a really loud peal of thunder or a sharp crack of lightning when it happens.
Nice.
At the point of contact, it would be like, yeah, be nice.
I'm really glad you rolled low because the other options were like destroying you.
Yeah.
It made me really sad.
No, like the other options would have been, I am now the Tempest.
Yeah.
I
There-
have the storm.
There may have been special audio surprises for everyone here if I had rolled something else.
So you won the fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah?
scorekeeper.
Yay!
So that's 10 points to you. It's going to be an additional 10 points for you for winning this fight because the gate is really difficult. So that's a total of 20 points.
Oh wow.
20 points to Gryffindor.
You defeat the gate against all odds. What do you learn about the adversary from your confrontation with the gate?
Well, I learned that his name is Forge. I learned that they are someone that Warren knows. I learned that not all sun children are nice and have rabbits. I have also kind of learned a bit about weaving, and for how my character is, I think the fact that they kind of firmly stated a whole boundary and enforce it is really important for them.
Cool.
Had lightning powers to defend themselves.
You want to pass it to the next player?
I would like that. Is you actually?
Is it? Did we skip Jess?
No, just fine.
Oh,
I had an ally.
right. Yeah. Okay. My brain.
It was
stopped
just
working
too
for a minute.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
Has Sean actually taken a turn yet?
I think I am last.
Okay.
Because you went first.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think we started. Yeah, I think we I think we started with. We went in turn order. One adjusted because I had sort of
Okay.
opened. So.
Okay. All right. I'm going to draw some cards.
Do it.
2 of hearts, 10 of clubs, ace of clubs. Well, this is going to be fun.
You can
My
do
strong
it.
suit is hearts. So
I
I'm
believe
going to be. Well, here's the thing. We roll 1 less die on the gate, and I would normally roll 1 die because it's a no match. So I roll 0 dice. And I know in some games when you have to roll 0 dice, you roll 2 and take the lower one. And here you just don't roll dice. So my options here are weave or accept a terrible cost.
Oh no, he came. So wait, does that mean that this sun child came back, or that there's another one?
I think this is another gate.
Yep, a different adversary altogether, and not necessarily a sun child.
Yeah. So who are they? I think it's another mercenary. I think that makes sense. I think they are unlike Forge. I think that they're just like I think they're mouse sized. I think they're a little fun sized. But I think that they are just like super super quick, and I want to say that they've got like knives. That feels right. Like super fast, and they have knives. We're unprepared because I'm pretty fast, but they are like, whoa, they're fast. Like if this were a cartoon, there wouldn't be frames of animation. It would just be like the lines of like going back and forth. Why do they work for the adversary? I think it's still like the money, probably. I think we don't know. Who are they? I really don't know. I'm baffled. So I'm gonna gather no dice and roll no dice, and oh look, I have no matches. I think I'm gonna weave here, and I would like Jess. Would you pick a die for me?
Oh boy.
Storm was fun. It worked
Storm
out
was
well.
Storm was fun. That stresses me out, but yeah, I mean, oof. Okay. Gosh, gee almighty. feel okay. So, are we only relocated? Do we only have 2 dice right now? Is that what I'm looking
No,
at?
I mean, you can. I've got headings for all of these:
Yeah, I
fire,
see.
rain,
Right.
cloth, metal, storm, bone, green, and gray.
Right.
Um,
I know it's stuck in my head because that's the last one Sin mentioned. You're like gray.
yeah, I've got some placeholder text for them just to give y'all the spitball for the gray die is it's the moral opposite of the green die. When you roll the gray die, bad things always happen. We do not expect you to roll this die. You are not allowed to roll this die. Do not roll this die.
I want to roll
You
a
know,
die.
I kind
And
of
of
appreciate.
course.
I appreciate the fact that that there's this whole thing in there that just says,
Don't do it.
Mm-mm.
Don't do
But
it.
I want to push the button.
Right. Like you did that on purpose. You made that choice.
In contrast, the green one is always good. That you just succeed. You might not know how you succeeded, but the the, the green die helps. So any of those would be fine. You could also just invent one.
I'm leaning towards the green die or even doing the storm die again because that was fun. But
Okay. The green die is fun. It has no sides on it, so it's just you say, "Here's the green die." I say, "I roll it," and then we treat it as a result of weave. The result is always weave, which in this case is plus 5 points. Yeah.
Whoa.
What?
How did you find a blank 5? Okay.
What? Are you made of magic?
Wait, what happened?
I'm
Just held up a
presenting
blank green die.
the green die.
Oh wow, that's nice.
You just had that handy. You were just ready with that die.
We had the features.
Yeah, this is a pro level stream, everybody. Not everyone is expecting. You can play Mnemonic at home if you don't have a blank green die. It won't be the same, but you know, you can.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun. I've never rolled the green die before, but basically,
you still haven't. As far as
I
can
still
tell.
haven't. All right. It's a result of we, which means we get 5 points. And because there's only 2 cards on the table, the adversary scores 2 points and we score 5. So we win the fight, which is great. Which means that we also get an extra 10 for a total of 15. And I think there's something weird about this mercenary. And I think like they are moving supernaturally fast, right? And I think that it like tickles something at the back of Mouse's mind, and somehow she knows that person's not really there, and like this gate is like running and like dashing back and forth, and at one point Mouse just reaches her hand out and she stops them with her hand, and they just vanish. And it's not like they like explode or disintegrate. It's just like they were there and now they're not. And it's like
you just use the force.
Yeah,
It's just kind of like they kind of like almost like mist. They just evaporate.
Yeah,
like they were an echo and they've stopped resonating.
Yeah, and
an echo that's been held still.
Yeah, and I think she's like, there's something weird going on here, you guys.
You think? I would agree, Mouse.
Something
is still dripping a little bit, kind of like rotates her head around. It's like,
Like I'm inexplicably drawn to reach out and touch this person to see if they're even there. No?
Yeah.
Not a thing.
So yeah, then I think we move on. Sean, do you want to take us into the next scene?
Sure, let's draw some cards.
And then I think probably after this scene we should take a little break.
Cool. All right, there we go. I got an ace of diamonds.
Oh boy.
Who shuffled this deck?
Oh boy.
20.
Diamonds.
That's a
are
big wall.
diamonds are my suit. Adaptability
Woo!
to change. So I get plus. How many dice do I get for having?
You get 3 dice for matching your suit. -1, so that's 2.
2. So I get to roll 2 dice, but there are no things to match.
Yeah.
So I'll roll 2 dice because.
So
I
does
like
that
rolling
mean
dice.
that they need to roll die or that it's a tie?
That's
Tie.
going to be, it's a tie.
Yeah. So, is there if you tie? No.
The gate wins on a tie.
The gate wins on a tie. Okay. So, well, we're familiar with this, but I'll go ahead and read it up there. Up there. Who's that? We've never seen them before. They look big. The gate is an enemy that stops you in your tracks, who tries to throw you off the ledge, who wants to make sure you remember their face. In any other story, they'd be the main villain, but here they're just going to make you work. They're just going to make work for our progress, and it's going to hurt. I think anyone can weave, and I think that there's something that happened when Forge. I think I want to reincorporate Forge, if that's okay with you, Sin. That they're not quite taken out of the fight.
Oh no, I mean, I imagine that they're big enough to like make that trek if they wanted to make that trek back here.
Yeah. I'm gonna have them kind of weave themselves, I think, or describe something that might look like weaving in this case. So who are they? I think this is Forge. I think we see Forge like get back up and like open like a chest plate, and like flames bellow out and like out of frustration as they get back up, and they're super wrecked right now by that like touch that Im touched them. Like they're all their stone like plates are all twisted around, and they kind of have to like turn their head back to be straight, and metal rust flakes fall off when they do that. Why are we unprepared? I think we were like, okay, cool, well they're gone now, bye. And Warren, I think, maybe knew this could happen, but they were so kind of enraptured by everything else going on, by this figure of dashing around so fast, and my mouse saying, I don't think that they're real. That I think that Warren hadn't really thought I should still be on guard, or at least not about Forge. So Warren is not ready to face Forge this time. Why did they work for the adversary? I think we decided. I think before the answer was money. I think now the answer is it's personal. Like it used to be, it didn't matter. Now it's these meddling kids got in my way, and now they're mad, and it's a personal thing. It's gone beyond just the money. And who are they? Who are they? Wait, it says who are they twice.
Yeah,
It does on purpose.
It's just like a reiteration of like,
with emphasis.
who are they?
Who?
You don't
who
need
are
to
they?
answer it twice, but
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But they are Forge, the angry, and I think, and you tell me if I'm getting like too supernatural here. I'm sort of trying to read the vibe, but I think they, remember a time of fires and volcanoes and of steam bursts. Not from here, but that doesn't really matter. I think they remember a time of their own home, and they sort of like stomp the ground. This is super far away. They're like still like a mile away. They stomp the ground, and the camera follows like this invisible line in the ground as the ground is shaking, and the ground is like, and you can see the ground like threatening to split apart, but it kind of like is staying together, and then and then just before it like gets to Warren, it gets super jagged and splits, and Warren is just consumed in the earth. Like this earthquake just like rips open and pulls Warren down in it. I think because the adversary wins on a tie. Yep. The adversary scores higher, you are overwhelmed, and the gate forces you to find another path forward with scars of your own mortality. So I think Warren will reemerge at some point, but in a very different sort of body. Don't worry, no bunnies are hurt. I think when Warren...
These are never hurt here.
Yeah, exactly. I think Warren kind of I am Groot's like envelops around the bunnies and like it like falls in, and the bunnies are safe inside Warren, but Warren will have
I
to.
wasn't worried about the bunnies. I was worried about the Warren.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do
So
care about Warren.
Warren is sucked into the earth, and then it closes around them, and then there's like this mound, but like they got sucked way deep, and there's all this broken earth, and people have fallen and all these other things, but it's clearly sent to them. So, yeah, scorekeeper, give 10 points to the adversary.
All right.
What do they do as they walk away, and why does this make your blood boil?
That's another copy paste.
No problem. This is good. This is the good thing about playtesting is that we. What should that be?
That should be what makes you get back up.
What makes you get back up?
Sorry.
I mean, I think what it is, I think there's this split screen, right? Jess and Nisha, you were just like, showing your like concern of like for Warren, like what happened to Warren. I think there's some of that, like there's a camera angle, there's a camera that's on the surface, and it's showing their friends and their concern and like, oh no, what happened to Warren? And there's all this fear, and then the camera just like submerges into the ground, like it just like a cutaway into the ground. It just keeps going down, and it feels like it goes down for a long time, like the nature of the earth shifts. It feels like it's going through like a hard layer, and then into like a reddish rock layer, and then it kind of gets down as though Warren fell like impossibly deep into the ground, and then it gets down, and we kind of see like a cutaway that's actually into Warren, and we see the bunnies in there, and they're like they're like whispering, and they're like whiskers are whispering, and somehow they are whispering the concerns of Warren's friends. Like somehow they are sharing those like, no, Warren, come back, don't go, and like we see like just the earth just shift a tiny bit, like Warren won't give up, but they will be changed by this, so they can come back in another scene. But yeah, it's the friends that brought us here.
Friendship.
That's a great break time. Jesus, thanks. Wow.
It's like it's the drama, and we're doing it to ourselves.
I know.
Nice. Alrighty, friends. Well, we're gonna go take a break. We're gonna get some water, get some tea, stretch, and we'll see you all in a few minutes. Bye.
All right.